step a little to the side. Hi there, my name is Emile Murdock. This is the first episode of Eatin with Emile. And today we have a very special guest, my very one and only father, who I am the seed from. Today we are making a classic dish from the Murdock household, the pizza. Today I'm going to interview my father in front of the camera. Here's some things maybe I haven't heard before. If you want to give a brief introduction of yourself, please go right ahead. I've got some questions to introduce you as well. Please.
I'm just Lou Murdock from Cincinnati, Ohio. Wife Judy over on the keyboards. She plays some music, does a little dancing, does some vocals. This is my son Emile. He does some vocals and a little bit of dancing. Two others are missing, Nick and Luke. And yeah, we do make a lot of pizza in this house. So it's taken a long time, but we're not bad at it anymore, but there's still stuff to learn.
Indeed. All right, so let's begin with cooking.
Let's get it going.
Let's. What are your thoughts right now? What's the first step that we're going through?
We're gonna make this sauce real quick.
Okay. All right. Sauce. What's the first step?
Sauce. You know what? I used to get all wigged out over sauce, and now I take it out of a can.
Okay. What kind of can are we using? What are our thoughts here?
The thoughts are just a can of tomatoes.
Okay. Whole, peeled, syrup.
They're whole
San
in the
Marzano?
can. They're not San Manzanos, but they are canned. They are unsalted, and they will be.
They are peeled tomatoes. For the record, they are not. They do not have the skin on them.
They have been put in with 3 cloves of garlic, which are already on board.
Okay.
Going to be. We don't measure much in this house. We do a lot of eyeball sort of stuff. So this is some dried Italian seasonings.
Okay. While you're going through that, I've got my first question for you. And
Yeah,
also a quick
away.
introduction of Lou Murdock. He was an All-American swimmer in high school, and he swam for college at Xavier University. He's an orthopedic hand surgeon. He's a father of 3, a devout Catholic. He has 20 years of service to the community as a doctor and a healthcare provider. And now I'm going to start with some intro questions. First, what are you doing? Take us through your steps right now.
Okay, the steps. Some salt, Italian seasoning. This is a kind of peppery oregano. We're going to put that in.
Okay,
as
wonderful.
well.
All right, first question. Can you please describe your childhood in Ohio?
Oh my gosh.
What was that like?
Child in Ohio.
What year were you born?
1959.
Okay. All right. What are some common events
Mom
going
and Dad
through
were
the day?
Norman Pat, Patricia, and Norman. And
Okay, you need a knife? You need a knife?
got it right here.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
There's a smidge of butter that goes in with.
Why do you have the butter?
You know what? I'm not sure, but I did read it about it somewhere at one point along the way, and it did change it. It just gave it a slightly different mouthfeel.
Okay. And well, hold on. What's this bag of mysterious?
This is
herbs?
oregano from the garden.
Okay. Back to the subject at hand. It smells wonderful. Tell us about your childhood growing up in Ohio. What was that like?
I'll be brief. That was a long
Okay.
time ago.
Thank you.
It was nice. It was unsophisticated. Helped my mom in the kitchen, played sports, did okay in school, and just things back in Cincinnati were, I would say, a great family town in the 1960s. So grew up in the summer swimming, playing baseball, catching fireflies. It was hot and sweaty, collecting blackberries, looking for arrowheads, hanging out with my friends. It was great.
Okay. Next step here. What's our next step?
So I'm gonna blend it, but I gotta get some tomato paste in there. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's in the fridge.
While he's back, we're gonna prep for our next question. Our next question is, what was something meaningful that happened to you during your childhood that's impacted your life since then?
Well, just the stability.
Stability. In what way? What do you mean?
Well, good family, good friends. We definitely had, a strong sense of future. It was safe. Never had worries. Mom and Dad did not live an overly complicated life. I shared a room with 2 brothers, so it's 3 in 1 room. And, just by, what do I mean by just safe? It was, didn't have, your expectations were not aligned with kind of, I guess, highfalutin dreams or ambitions. You kind of made your own luck in a lot of ways and pursued your life that way.
What do you mean by made your own luck?
Well, just if you wanted to find blackberries, you had to go in the woods. You didn't go into a store. We basically made most of our own fruits and jams. We gardened a little bit, and so just life wasn't very complicated.
Okay. How much tomato paste are you adding to this deal?
I'm not sure. Just enough, I think.
All right. He did about 2 butter knives worth. So
yeah, maybe 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons. All right.
Okay.
Wonderful number. What's our next step here?
We're gonna blend this thing down.
Okay. We've got an immersion blender here.
Yep.
Cuisinart, state of the art.
Blender and boss.
Listen, they're not that expensive. We're the
it's a multi-speed.
We're the kitchen tool.
Well, this is one of my favorite kitchen tools, without a doubt. And so instead of hand crushing these tomatoes, we're just going to measure and wand it in together. There's some raw garlic cloves at the bottom.
Gotta make sure those are fully mixed in. It's essential for flavor.
And we will put a little olive oil in with it here in a little bit, but not just yet. Everything's to add body to it.
Okay. What do you mean by body? What do you mean by body?
The texture, your mouthfeel.
Okay.
The way it spreads on bread when we finally put it on the dough for cooking.
A lot of people like to sympathize with others through their struggles. I'm wondering, what was maybe a struggle of youth for yourself?
Oh, I was a fat and chubby little kid.
Well, doesn't that
who got
equal a lot in society
mediocre?
these days? This man loves food. If you can't tell, he's now consuming the sauce. He's taste testing it. A lot of people like to use a spoon and consume it, but he is more of the use the utensil as the spoon itself. It's very similar.
It's not going back in, so we can let that rip.
You want me to put it this way?
Sure. Roll it up.
I do anything for my father. All right. So struggle of youth was size, as you were alluding to.
I was also very young for the grade that I was in, so.
You mentioned that you were shy to me at one point in your life. Very bashful, one might say.
Extremely.
Okay.
Yep. Chubby.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Where did the bashfulness come from?
I just think that I had an outgoing brother, lived in the shadows. I was probably an underperforming student, lived in that, if you don't know what you're talking about, you keep your mouth shut. And so I was also kind of small for my age.
Okay. Now, take me back to what's going on over here. He just put this sauce on the stove. It looks like it's on low heat. What's going on over there?
Just gonna let that kind of come together with some heat. I'm not gonna do it for very long.
Now right here, we've got a white onion. We've got a little bit of sausage as well. What are you doing now?
That's gonna be for the
kind of topping.
It's a pepperoni-like sausage, and yes, it will be a topping. And so these onions, these are gonna go on when we either. You know what? I haven't decided yet. Emile. You can help me decide. These are either gonna go on before we cook it or after.
Before.
He says before. I'm not sure because it releases fluid, and I don't dig that.
Okay. All right. Well, we can do half the pizza with, half the pizza without. Onion before and after.
I'm gonna really mince it up.
He's mincing the onions right now. He's using a ceramic knife provided by his sponsor, his dad, Norm Murdock, deceased 2010, September 11th. All right, next question. How'd you land on medicine? Let me hold this cutting board for you.
All right, thanks.
You were a young kid. Medicine is a long, arduous journey. What made you land on medicine?
I'm not even sure about that, to be honest with you. I was a history major. And
chemistry minor, is that right?
Yep, studied chemistry, took a lot of German, and
do you know any German to this day?
a little bit.
Give me a couple words, please.
Achtung.
What does that mean?
Stop.
Okay, wonderful. There we go. So we have some minced onions right now. We've got some slices of pepperoni.
Pepes. Pepe. What does Pepe mean to you?
Okay. We're going to divert away from Pepe real quick. We're going to come back. How'd you land on medicine? You say you don't know. I'm a little skeptical of that answer.
Well, I'm just not sure. It wasn't something I grew up dying to do. I had an uncle that was a good family supporter, I'd say. He was also an orthopedic surgeon.
Take notes. Wiping down the kitchen while cooking. Cleanliness is essential.
As you go.
All right, continue. All right, so
Uncle
was a
Uncle
surgeon.
Ed.
Uncle
Ed
Ed.
Zenny. He's worth more than a footnote. He definitely was a good man and influenced me in terms of his kind of joy for his work and so forth and so on. But I didn't have some grand plan to become a doctor, that's for sure. I had a pediatrician who seemed like a nice enough guy, graduated from college without, really a top-notch focus, although aviation was definitely something that I had actually hoped more to do than anything else. But all the same, when I graduated from Xavier, I had a history major, did not have an absolute imperative direction to go. Dad was an attorney, and I thought working with him would have been enjoyable. He did not think that I was attorney material because he just did not think I was mean enough. And he and my mom both encouraged me to consider medicine. They thought that would be a good fit for me.
Wonderful. Okay, next question before we get on to the dough, the base of the pizza, if you will. You said you were interested in aviation. What steered you away from that?
Colorblindness.
Really? Mm-hmm. When did you discover you were colorblind? What happened?
During a physical exam for the academies, but that's okay.
Which academies?
Let's move on.
Okay. All right.
So let's make the dough.
Next section of this is the dough creation portion.
Oh, so this is done in a Cuisinart, and this thing I've had for Emile for nearly 30 years, and it just won't die. I mean, this is crazy. It's a Cuisinart Pro Custom 11, and the dough blade has been used to the point where it's chipped and kind of broken. So I use the cutting blade, and the bowl cover is also chipped and broken, and so I have to put it on in kind of a reverse fashion. But all the same, it works just great, and if it ever dies, I'll replace it. But in the meanwhile,
it's working great.
It's working great.
Okay, so what are our steps involved?
Let me get a couple things out.
You want me to get yeast?
I'll get the yeast. Why don't you get the salt and
got
oil?
Yeast. I'll get salt and oil.
Get the oil. The salt's out.
Salt's out.
Yep, salt's out. Yeah. And you can use just fresh oil for this if you wish. All right. So this is
olive.
In the past, I used a high gluten, kind of a high protein flour, and more recently, I've returned back to the what do you want to call it? Just kind of less than bread
AP?
flour, AP, but not all APs are the same. Some do have a little more protein than others. I don't measure anything, and that's not because I'm cute. What I'm doing is making some observations about what's happening in the mixing bowl.
Can you enlighten us to these observations?
This might be this is a half cup spoon. So
you found it at a thrift shop?
No, I did. I bought that.
I bought it. All right.
I bought it because I kind of like this design.
It's a nice shape.
It's a nice shape. It holds your flour. It's a half cup. I have one in quarter cup and a full cup.
I apologize for deceiving you. Continue.
So I'm going to put some yeast in as well. Again, unmeasured.
He's using a half teaspoon right now, but it's a little less than a half teaspoon.
Less than
it's
a half
probably
teaspoon.
A little over a quarter teaspoon.
Agreed. Now this is controversial. I'm going to start with a little bit of sugar just to push the yeast into kind of a reproductive mode a little more briskly.
Reproductive? What did you say?
Indeed, sir. Quite reproductive. I'm going for a little cup now.
Curious. A cup. Now, what are you going to get with the cup? What's this?
This cup's just for cool water.
Okay.
And it's actually a spout. It's a little coffee foaming, or milk foaming cup that we use when we make some coffee.
Now, I noticed that cup doesn't have any measurements on it. What's going on there?
Well, what you're going to see with this lesson is that I'm watching the flour as I pour a stream of water in.
Okay.
And the stream of water is nice and thin, and it's going to hit the top of the knife, the rotating knife.
You don't say.
Yep. And I'm just going to get that off. Okay. So what I'm looking for, Emile, is that as this hits the top, you're going to see it kind of spit the water off to the sides. And you're going to watch the flour kind of take some, I guess, take the water in. It's going to become, I guess, a little chunky, firm with the time. Kind of goes from a powder to a
almost
paste.
a ball paste
Yeah,
form.
and I'm waiting for it to take this shape. And once it gets to the point where it is starting to stick together and form a ball, I turn it off. I'll put my finger on it to see what it feels like. But the point of measuring the water relative to the flour is a little bit misleading. Wow, so shut out. It'll be a little bit misleading because you may have some moisture already in the flour. That's too dry, so I'm going to go ahead and spin it up again.
For reference, it looks like a brain right now. We want it to look.
Not quite yet, but you can see it just rotating pretty briskly. Nothing sticking to the side. That's key.
Important note.
It's a little loud.
He's being very conservative with the water right now.
Oh,
He does
just-
not want to overhydrate.
I want it to hydrate fully. I don't want to turn it into something that's too stiff. So, no longer clean to the sides.
Let's give that a view for the camera. We see it has a brain-like consistency and texture. We're gonna let it hydrate now. Is that right?
Yeah, we're going to let it sit for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Now, while that's happening, do you have anything you want to do in the meantime?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the olive oil right on top of it.
And while you're doing that, we've got our next set of questions.
Fire away.
The first is, why did you pursue hand surgery?
Wow. Jeez.
Hard question, I know.
Well, it is.
It's much your career. So.
Well, it's an interesting field inside of orthopedics, for sure. I mean, men have them, women have them, children have hands, athletes have hands, executives, bones. I mean, everybody has hands, and there's disease from cradle to grave, and it is very interesting work. I mean, everybody needs them to function, can be independent, take care of yourself as long as you have decent hands. And at the time, I enjoyed the people I was working with. They were good role models, and thought it was a direction that would be awfully satisfying.
Okay. So, but you know, feet, one could argue, are arguably as useful as hands. So why not feet instead?
I don't think they're as useful, to tell you the
Okay.
truth.
All
I
right.
think they're awfully good to have, and I want mine to stay good. But you need your hands for independence, and you're also working with the full spectrum of anatomy. I mean,
Okay.
skin, muscle, nerves, arteries, all the tissues. And you express yourself through your hands quite a bit.
Okay.
Reading, writing, artistic endeavors, more so than with feet.
Okay.
Dig it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Next question.
Fire away.
Why did you pursue orthopedics?
That was
What
also
felt like a calling for
I when I was in medical school, I still daydreamed about aviation and had I guess an opportunity to go in a direction in the form of a residency. Because I did not declare one, I was interested in both aerospace medicine and anything else that did not require chronic medical care. And PM&R was of interest.
PM&R, what does that
Physical
mean?
medicine and rehabilitation.
Okay.
And there was an area, and frankly, you know, it's so interesting that I had somewhat of a poor impression of orthopedics.
How'd you get that poor impression? What do you mean by that?
Just people that I met along the way that were both interested in orthopedics as well as practice orthopedics, until I ran into a physician named Ed Miller, and he was a friend of my uncle, Ed Zenny. And Ed Miller invited me to go to the operating room with him to take care of a patient that I admitted with an elbow infection, and it was kind of love at first sight.
Were you in med school at this point?
No, I was in my internship.
You were in your internship. What is? At what point do you enter your internship as
After
a
I
doctor?
graduated from residency or medical school.
Okay, so you go medical school, internship, residency. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has this dough hydrated enough?
I
Another
don't know if
minute or
it's been
two?
4 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
let's
All right.
see.
Well, let's continue. Let's continue.
Yeah, far away.
Did you make any good friends along the way in medical school?
Yeah, you're named after one.
Tell us about some of your friends.
Emile Dowd?
Tell us about your friends.
You're one of your namesakes. My mom and my brother were your other namesakes. But yeah, these guys were just great. And I just mostly had guy friends again because I was still in my bashful phase at the time. And you end up having kind of a codependency. I know that that's a pathology in this day and age, but codependency in those days was the way you could divide work and get stuff done. Okay. And so we had good friendships. Jerry Peters, you've met Jerry. A guy named Jim Hockwald, I had a friend named Michael Bird, Seth Kata. There are many people that kind of pull you along as you go. It was great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What kind of impacts do they have on you?
Impacts? Well, positive impacts. I only hung out with people that would give me a positive impact and encouragement and a sense of belief. It's good to have people believe in you.
Last one, sorry, we're getting some laughs from the crowd in the back, that being my mother.
Mother, she's crying or laughing or doing it.
Not sure.
Leave it to both.
Sure
yeah.
which one. Let me make sure this is still recording. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Next question. Did you have any doubts about medical school?
No.
Never?
No.
Any doubts about anything while you were pursuing medicine at all?
No.
Incredible.
You're just on a one-way track. I mean, there's no time for doubts.
I love that. What was something surprising that you learned about medicine? What was the most surprising thing you learned about medicine after you got into the
That hospitals and physicians don't work together very well.
And enlighten us as to that position. What do you mean by that? And
We're not on the same page. We take care of patients. They're business entities.
So would you argue that your incentives are different?
Yeah, they're incentivized entirely differently than physicians.
How can you tell us more about that experience? Maybe like what led you to reaching that conclusion?
Well, physicians rely on hospitals to provide certain elements when you're a surgeon to provide elements that facilitate your ability to offer the services that you provide, and you support them by bringing patients to their care. But the relationship's broken because it is to some extent, again, they pick winners and losers and make decisions about how and who they want to invest in. And so a family practice person, for example, has very little kind of influence or leverage with the hospital because they don't provide the kind of services that a hospital is most interested in. And neurosurgeons have extreme influence, and others do as well. But it was very unexpected. I was super disappointed about that.
Okay, so knowing that now, if you were to create your own medical practice, how would you address that going forward?
I don't think I would align myself with the hospital.
And what does that mean exactly? What does that entail?
Well, I think we're kind of perhaps way off track.
Sure.
Cooking pizza, but as it would turn out, the more independent you can be of a hospital by providing your own facilities to offer care and treatment in, the better off you're going to be, and the better off your patient's going to be. This is, it really does. If you can reduce the amount of interface that the patients are required to have with multiple entities while providing their care, it simplifies things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we get back to the pizza?
Oh, let's do it.
Indeed. All right.
Let's spin this thing up.
We're going back. So, for context, we've let the dough hydrate now, which means that the water is fully integrated with the gluten and the flour in the dough. We're now rerunning this. Because the dough's hydrated, it'll turn into a ball.
We're watching for it to kind of get sticky on the side. You'll notice here eventually it will become a little bit transparent. I know. Here we go. This is taking the place of kneading it by hand. See it's wonderful. Okay, there it is.
Okay, here we are. Now you'll see the texture is a little different than before. This is more of a sticky texture than a brain texture. What are we doing with this now?
I need a little bowl to put this in.
Let me grab one.
Actually, something a little bit better than that. How about one?
Let me grab another one.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's see.
So when this comes out, it shouldn't stick to the side of anything to any significant degree. It should definitely not stick to your skin.
How about a stainless?
Hold on. Over there next to the oven. Can be small.
Oh man, what do you need next to the oven? One of these guys?
Yeah, one of these guys.
Alright. This size, a little bigger?
Bigger.
Alright.
If you do me
You
a
like
favor,
this size?
that's perfect.
Okay.
If you do me a favor, shoot a little bit of nonstick into it, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So we've just grabbed a Pyrex bowl. We're not sponsored by Pyrex, but this is the bowl that we're using. We're gonna take a little bit of non-stick spray, canola oil. We're gonna come in. Pro tip: open
The washer.
your dishwasher and spray inside. Keeps all of that nasty goodness in the dishwasher and not on your countertops.
The goodness is the plume. Okay.
That comes out. Give it a couple squirts. Here we go. Dough in. Lid on. It's time to proof the dough. There's a couple options here. One, you can do a slow proof in the fridge, 24 hours. You're gonna get a wonderful developed taste on that yeast. Another option is let it out for a couple hours before you make your pizza. You'll also get a wonderful flavor. It'll be a little less subtle than the slow rise in the fridge, but I believe, Father, you already made some risen
we did
dough.
actually make some dough.
Let's bring that out.
As recently as earlier today. Okay. Let's move this out of the way, son. It actually tastes that well.
So you get that one. Salty, delicious, wonderful.
That's what we're talking about.
All right, what's our next step? Dough time, get it out.
Yeah.
Do you need any parchment paper? What do you need?
I got to get my thingy-majig out of here.
Should we do anything to the sauce while we're waiting?
Ooh,
Should we stir?
Let's give it a stir, yeah.
Okay. Here we're grabbing a signature, also not sponsored, William Sonoma red spatula.
That's not what we're going to use, though.
We're not using this spatula. I take my statement back.
We need some stir oil.
Another red William Sonoma spatula. A little smaller this time.
I'm going to check the oven.
Okay. Quick side note, we are grilling these pizzas on the grill instead of in an oven. It's a little unexpected, but it's going to result in a wonderful char on the bottom side and flavor on the top side. Let's give this a stir. Now you can't see what's going on right now, but it looks like absolutely nothing has happened to this sauce. Bubbles here and there, but overall, giving it a light stir, we'll give it a taste. Wonderful. All right. Denise, again, you know what happened. All right. Well, what are we looking like with the grill outside?
Looks perfect. Semolina flour.
Why are we using semolina flour? What's going on here?
Because I found that it's much more enjoyable than white flour, refined flour, which you said over there.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Thanks.
All right.
And
semolina flour down.
It's kind of grainy.
It is.
It's kind of
They're like ball bearings almost.
Oh yeah, you can
One
think
might
of it as
say.
something that can kind of allow the dough to roll a little bit more easily. And I don't know, it's got kind of the texture of cornmeal, and it's good on your tongue when you kind of chomp on it. So it's an easy thing. So this is after it's risen a meal.
How long did this rise for?
Rose in the fridge for about 7 hours, and outside the fridge for about 2.
Okay. And now we're about to just spread it out. I'm just spreading out the semolina. We're gonna go to the next question. This is a life question. What has been a great joy of life?
Oh wow. There's many great joys. I'll tell you for sure, finding someone you want to share your life with is a great joy. Turning 18, 21, and 25 are all great joys. Having children is a great joy. Graduating, reaching goals is a great joy, and developing your faith is a great joy.
So, okay, you got a couple things I'm going to build on there. You said finding a partner has been a great joy in life. A wife.
Did I say partner?
No, you said wife.
Yeah.
So I'm using my liberalized language. You know how it is.
I won't use the word partner.
Okay. Well, you said finding a wife has been a great joy in life. A lot of people these days are single. I think the average age for people being single is 35 or 30.
Is that right?
It's very old now. So how do you advise that people find maybe a wife or a husband in this time where age is ever increasing for finding a partner?
Get off the internet and go meet people.
How old were you when you married your wife?
30, what? 4? 3? 33.
His wife was 28? 29 when they married. There's a little bit of hope out there for you older folks. So no worries on that side. But okay, but you know, so you may have been a little bit older. You spread out the dough in case you couldn't tell what was happening. I don't think I need to explain that. Use your knuckles, you know, let it stretch itself. Let's continue with the question. He's about to load it onto this parchment paper, and then onto a grilling sheet.
Well, this is a little bit of, it's funny. So if you put it straight onto the grill, what I have on the grill is a steel plate. And if you lay the parchment directly onto the steel plate and the dough directly into the parchment, it cooks too fast. It just burns the bottom. So this gives a little bit of a delay. The heat has to transfer through the sheet, through the metal grate on this, through then the parchment paper, which doesn't offer much resistance, before it begins to heat the bottom.
Why the parchment paper then? What's the
it just keeps it, allows it to slide off. This dough is so tender it would slide into the little nubbins on this, so it just keeps it as a smooth bottom.
Wonderful. All right, so you found a partner. And
I found a wife.
You found a wife. Sorry, excuse my ignorance. All right, so you found a wife. What were some...
She found me, but anyway, that's all a detail.
So you're saying she pursued you is what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, we pursue each other. But,
right.
But yeah, I wasn't going to ask anybody out. I was definitely in a single phase of my life.
At 33, he was in a single phase of his life still.
Because I didn't think I was going to get married.
Well, that was actually
We met at
like
age
28,
29.
29 for him.
Dating for 3 years, 4 years?
3.5.
It's a couple of years, especially when you're getting up there in the age. So let's get into the next question. What's been a surprising joy of life, though? You know, we talk about simple joys that have come along, you know, children, family being curated, achieving goals. What's been a surprising joy of that? He's adding garlic salt onto the pizza now.
Just
a little
on the edge.
application to the edge. Give it a little taste, a little texture addition.
Did you bring the sauce over?
I'd love to bring the sauce over.
It's right here.
I know. It's a little hot.
I see.
Always use protection. Here we are. Sauce over. Where would you like the sauce, good sir?
You can set it right on top of this.
Right on top of this?
Yeah. You remove the lid, thank you.
Lid removed.
Don't let the water droplets get on this thing. It'd be a disaster.
Don't let the water get on there. Disaster inbound. We've got the sauce now on top of this. I'm worried about melting the plastic. You're not that worried though. So what's the next phase? Okay.
This.
Glove on for him. He likes to hold it with one hand. He likes to live life on the edge. Now, again, can you tell me about a great joy,
Surprising
joy of life?
Of life.
Owning a dog.
Owning a dog is not an example of a surprise joy. She does. Her name's Ginger. She does bring some goodness for sure to the house. But as everybody who owns dogs know, it's a responsibility that Judy mainly takes care of, no doubt about it. And I resist it all the way because I haven't fallen for the dog thing just yet. But she's a nice dog. I don't doubt that at all. We're gonna make this one pep. But a surprise joy is interesting. So along the way, just it's a lot like walking a path. There's no doubt. I'm gonna leave that there. We're gonna do that.
We're returning this back.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of cheese. I'm pretty Spartan with the cheese.
What do you mean by Spartan exactly?
Not much.
Light with the cheese. Now I notice a lot of people will criticize the use of pre-shredded cheese for its coating of flour or starch of some sort to create separation. Do you not reach the same conclusion?
Nope, I don't. Excuse me.
Fascinating. Can we hear about another secret joy of life that you found?
Well,
Dad, I find you to be such a happy guy, and I feel like it seems so mystical to me. You've lived a life of service. Maybe that's one of the secrets. Maybe it's your deep Catholic faith. But I want to know. Can we pin it down? to certain things that have really just contributed to your joy over the years?
I think, I think that for reasons that I cannot explain, like articulate with some sort of certainty as to why I laugh easy. I'm a pretty serious guy, as you know. You've been on the receiving end of a lot of serious conversations.
Many of years.
But life brings just minute by minute joys. I don't think you have to hit home runs to have good joy. And so if you lower your expectations about what it takes to please you, you'll find joy in almost everything you do.
Now I'm going to make one guess before he begins the next step of this process. I'm guessing that his secret joy comes from having a popped collar on his jean jacket, wearing a blue shirt that matches with a hole in it right in this area. And then if you'll step back and lift up his leg, you'll see that he's also wearing blue jeans. He has what we call a Canadian tuxedo, and I think that's actually one of his secrets. He won't admit to it. He's never disclosed this part of his life to me. I'm quite confident that is actually the secret to joy in life. Next question. As you're approaching, you're aging, as you know, you're maturing, as you know, what's a challenge you're looking forward to in life? There's still so much time ahead for you. Life is, you've still got plenty of years left. You'll probably live to 100.
Wow.
And what's a challenge you're looking forward to in life?
Wow. You know what? I don't have an easy answer to that question. I enjoy, again, almost every step along the way. I have goals. I want to read. Judy and I have some, I'd say, modest travel hopes. I'd love to see you guys have some kids someday, grandkids. Would be fun. Always look forward, I plant a garden every year, and I'm always hopeful about what the garden's going to provide. So those things are enjoyable. Hopefully, grow some more friendships. And
Are friendships challenging for you?
No, they're not challenging. Perhaps in the I don't know which way you're thinking about it. I mean, they are challenging to me in some ways in that I want meaningful friendships. I don't just go for hanging out and killing time. I'm not a big time drinker or anything like that, as you know. So joy friends. I'm not a prude, but on the other hand, I'm looking for people that want to bring me something. I bring them something. Then you have a relationship, and the friendship is going to be based on that mutual growth, not necessarily quote things to do, but a sense of what it means to develop and improve yourself, better yourself. Yeah,
Wonderful.
Oh, would you put that pepperoni on there? It seems like I left some behind.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Didn't
We've got a couple extra slices of pepperoni. We're just going to return this to the pizza that it was supposed to be on.
I'm gonna make a second pizza.
Second pizza coming in. All right. So you were kind of elusive on that question.
I was.
I'll let it slide for right now, but we're going to go on to the next one.
Did not mean to be.
Looking back on your life, you're 65, is that right?
3.
63. What would you do differently with your life? Would you change anything?
Nope.
Any major turning points where
I
you
probably would,
encountered
if
conflict?
I could. Yeah, I would not sell my practice to a hospital.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier that particularly to be employed by a hospital means that you're giving up the autonomy to do things that you might choose to do different if you did not have a conflict between your
Maybe administration and doctors.
Your responsibilities to the hospital from a bureaucratic point of view are different than your responsibilities to the hospital from a healthcare point of view. And so working for the patient is something that I think all doctors enjoy doing. Working kind of in the bureaucratic sphere of a hospital is incredibly painful. And so you can waste a lot of time doing it, and I'm not sure it comes out in any way, shape, or form better for patients. Certainly took time away from my family, took time away from patients, and I do wish that I had not done that. I admit that.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you for that insight. Yeah. Another question.
Yeah.
You've already shared a little bit of this, but
I'm not going to spin this because there's too much stuff. But you can see.
What do you mean by that?
There's too much of the material.
You have a bit of a window pane here. You can
Yeah,
see
but
some light through it, but not too much.
It's like a big elephant here. You can hang it and it doesn't tear. That's a good pizza dough.
It's a wonderful sign.
That's a great sign. Yep.
Next question.
Yeah.
What's a bit of wisdom you'd like to share with maybe people your age, but maybe also the next generation of young adults that are coming into this world that are the inheritors of this new world that you're leaving behind at some point, and it's going to be left to me, my kids, my grandkids after I die as well.
Kill the internet. You expected that, didn't you?
Well, this is quite ironic considering this is going to be all over the internet in less than 3 days.
Well, what I mean by that is don't get programmed by the internet. I think that is a tool that needs to be improved upon so that we don't get consumed by it, but rather interact with it with an eye towards how it can help you, rather than simply going down funny holes and involving yourself in the lives and activities of folks that mean nothing to you and won't ever mean something to you.
My father is a believer in wealth preservation, and part of that comes in with preserving the semolina flour after usage. He does not like to waste anything. If you check out our pantry, you will notice multiple expired goods.
Oofda.
They are fine to eat, though.
They are fine to eat. I need sauce again.
Sauce.
Yeah, please, thanks.
Glove on.
This one's going to be a
Sauce
barbecue chicken pizza.
We
violation.
missed.
No, you got the water on it.
But we didn't hit the pizza. It's important to note. I may have just failed and disappointed them, but
Yes, definitely.
that's a common occurrence for myself. So here we go. Sauce is ready to be loaded onto the pizza.
Sauce is the boss. Do you like a lot or a little?
You know what? I like a medium amount of sauce. It seems like a silly answer considering you gave me a lot and a little, but too much sauce is frankly unsatisfying. It drowns you.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and I'm depending on the pizza that I'm having, if it's deep dish, I can deal with a lot of sauce. But
Sauce on the side's okay.
sauce on the sides, all right. But that's not what we're doing tonight. We're doing Louis and Emile style. Here we go.
This is actually a pizza Emile brought home when he had a job with Louis, which is a local pizza shop. So I think, what is it, barbecue chicken?
Louis Pizza in Meridian. This is what we call the barbecue chicken pizza. It takes a little bit of cooked chicken. You mix in some barbecue sauce with it. There's a couple different styles here. We're doing one with a red sauce base, and then we have some barbecue sauce on this chicken. Another way you can do it is barbecue sauce instead of red sauce on the pizza. Just put the chicken on, put the cheese on, green onions, cilantro on top. But we like the red sauce base. We find it a little bit it's more tangy, it's more clingy to the palate itself, which is your mouth. And here we are just adding the chicken, as one does to a pizza.
And now I put a little of this on, then I do put some barbecue sauce on.
He does like to top his pizzas with barbecue sauce after cooking.
I'm going to do it right now.
He's about to do it before he's cooking the pizza. It's incredible, as it turns out. So you're pretty conservative with the cheese application. Can you enlighten me as to how you came to this conclusion? A lot of people heavy-handed with the cheese. Yeah. Why are you so light on the cheese?
Because I think you talk about things that distract you when you eat, like a hot piece of cheese that slaps you across the face.
Well said.
I hate that.
I actually have a second question. I believe this pizza, if I'm not mistaken, avoided the garlic salt perimeter. Was that by intention or not?
It's a little bit of an oversight that
Who would have thought that?
I'm correcting. I like the first, like if you come off the crust, I like that first bite to be a little bit savory.
What's your favorite part of the pizza? You like just a regular bite? You like the
moment
crust?
you
You like the mix between the crust and the regular part of the pizza?
You know what? I think this like the centerpiece, the one closest to the point of the slice of pizza, is not my favorite. I think the next bite.
Not your favorite, you said.
No.
Why is that?
I don't know. I like the crust. I like it as you get closer to the edge.
Okay.
Working to the edge is my favorite.
Okay.
Ooh, we're gonna put a few of these on.
The onion's getting added now.
Just a few.
Remember, these are diced pretty thinly, almost transparent. Now, I'm going to dig into another part of your life that's been very important, and that's been your Catholic faith over the years. A lot of people these days talk about being spiritual. They talk about energy, maybe. What are your thoughts on that? And then how do you land on Catholicism as being what you believe to be the truth?
Well, I was raised Catholic. I married a woman who's Catholic. My parents are Catholic, hers were Catholic, so there's a great deal of tradition. And being raised in the faith is a good starting point. Oddly enough, Judy and I have noted, and I don't think it's our observation that converts to the faith are beautiful Catholics and understand our faith quite a bit different than the quote-unquote cradle Catholics. And so...
Is it better or worse or just different?
Well, I think that they grow into their faith because they're hungry for it. When you're born into the faith, you perhaps take certain things for granted or you overlook. And so that is one of the weaknesses of being a cradle Catholic. And I would have never, I can tell you for sure, I would not have dated a girl that wasn't Catholic.
Okay.
That just wouldn't have happened. So I knew it was a Catholic girl or bust.
Now, one more question before I top these pizzas in the grill.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have ended up in the Catholic Church and becoming a devout Catholic if you were not raised in the Catholic Church? You think you would have reached the same conclusion that you reached today?
You need an exposure. Somebody's got to expose you.
Do you think it depends on the exposure? Do you think it depends on, if maybe you met a Catholic, a person who called themselves Catholic but didn't really have the values that you
behind the
associate?
camera was awesome. And I had a brother who was extremely determined as a Catholic. I have a friend or two that were extremely determined, and so I always kept my eye out for that.
But sorry.
Always went to church, always participated in sacraments, but admittedly there were times where I did not really pull it in and make an effort during the intense times of work and with family especially.
Sure, but I want to go back to the original question, which was...
We should put some of these in, to be honest.
Okay, all right.
Bring it along.
We're going to bring the camera along.
Yeah, I'm going to slide at least one of these in, okay?
All right, you're coming with us. We're going mobile. All right, so now we've got one pizza. Let's flip the camera around.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Whoa.
I'm gonna make a salad.
All right, Mom. Sounds good. So you were mentioning, quick question actually, before we get back to the Catholic question.
Yeah.
You were mentioning, what temperature is the oven at? What's our thought
Well,
here?
it's reading a little bit hotter than I had hoped for, to tell you the truth.
What temp are we seeing on it right now?
650.
650, you say?
Yeah.
Now you just leave a little gap here. You put a little brick in to enable that gap.
Yeah, let some of that hot air out.
Pizza in. We're reading a high number.
Let's go in and get the other one out, okay?
Okay, all right.
Yep. And
Going back in.
Pizza peel.
Please observe the Canadian tuxedo as we are entering the house again.
What's that?
You still following?
Yeah, it's part of my job.
Luke.
Emile. Thank you for remembering my
We're gonna
name.
need the-
It's coming back out. Look at this pizza
baby.
as we're walking backwards, trying to avoid the obstacles in the way. Here we are. Look at this. This is our dog, Ginger, 13 years old.
What a dog. What a gift.
We question if she's getting younger these days. We're not sure. Pizza's still in there. What are we thinking about it right now? Are we thinking that it's almost cooked?
No, it's going to take
Nothing,
about
man.
4 or 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's put this back up. I'm gonna, while we're standing out here, keep enjoying each other's company. Move it this way. All right. So do you think you would have stayed a Catholic or would have become a Catholic even if you weren't raised with a Catholic family?
Yes.
How do you think you would have ended up in that position
Well,
again?
because I persistently followed Catholicism and
But hold on.
attended Mass and received the Eucharist.
But the question, let's say you were raised as in an agnostic family or an atheist
I
family.
would have found
Do you think you would have
Catholicism-
found Catholicism again if that were the situation?
Well, it would not be finding Catholicism again. It'd be finding it for the first time.
and I would just have to hope for that. I don't know how to answer a question. That's not the path that I was on, and so I can't begin to develop a meaningful answer to something I just guess at. But I think that's a part about being a Catholic that gives an opportunity, and that you're supposed to, like many Christian faiths, witness to others through example, words, teaching, both or all of the above. What it appears to, what a Catholic person looks and behaves like.
Okay.
And I did have some great influences along the way, like Mike Arata.
Who's Mike Arata?
A high school swim coach. He was one of the most profound influences in my life. He was a great Catholic man, a determined individual as well as a determined coach. He took young men and boys and turned them into men, and made them choose priorities in order to accomplish goals. He understood that you can't have it all. You have to pick, and you have to prioritize if you want to get something done. Got it?
Yeah, let's make sure you're in frame.
Got to prioritize if you want to get something done.
Let's see. How's our pizza looking?
Dude, it is rocking.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
So Mike Arato's your swim coach. Massive influence in your life.
Massive.
What are some other influential figures in your life?
Oh, my mother and father, Mike Arata, Sherm Coleman.
Who's Sherm Coleman? I haven't heard of him before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sherm Coleman. Not always right, never in doubt. Sherm Coleman.
I thought it was Judy who said that.
So Sherm Coleman was in my residency training program as one of the instructors, and he was one of the foremost orthopedists in the country at University of Utah, where he resided. He was president of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, the American Orthopedic Association, the Pediatric Orthopedic Association, wrote hundreds of papers, spoke, taught, was patient, was a mentor, was a friend. He was awesome. He was one of the greatest guys ever. Yep, my brother Patrick is a mentor, without a doubt. My brother John's a mentor.
How have those two been mentors for you?
My brother
Is the pizza
John.
ready?
It's coming out.
Let's get a close up.
My brother John.
Look at this piece of art. Now, you don't see this often coming out. Your regular restaurant. You got perfect brown edges. The cheese is brown. The pepperonis are brown. You want to bring that inside? We're gonna leave it out for a second.
Leave it out here.
All right, we're gonna let the other one cook. That one away. This pizza on. Time to go in. Pizza goes back into the oven. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, set the camera back up. Another 5 minutes-ish.
Did you show the steel in there?
Okay, a quick note for the viewers. There is what's known as a pizza steel in the oven. A pizza steel is similar to a pizza stone in a way. It's a heat retention device that cooks use to get a brown bottom on their pizza.
Crispy brown
A
bottom.
crispy brown bottom. You'll notice when you take a picture of the undercarriage of this pizza that there is a crispy brown underside to it. And that's essential for texture, taste, carrying the toppings to your mouth. And we like a pizza steel because it retains heat better than a stone, conducts heat better, and frankly, it's just
Superior.
it's been superior for our experience.
We've tried it all. We've tried it all.
Tried a lot.
Yeah, for sure. The pizza, the pizza steel or the baker steel has a variety of names. Is without a doubt the best. It has heat inertia. It's not porous. It crisps the bottom like nothing else. It's just the way to go. Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
All right.
So this brings us to our next question. How did you end up on the grill as your pizza cooking method of choice, as opposed to an oven, which maybe most Americans could relate to? But how did you end up on the grill? And then how would you recommend replicating this if they were to use an oven instead?
Well, that's in the wintertime we do it in the oven because it's nice to warm up the house.
Okay.
In the summertime we don't use the oven because it's not nice to warm up the inside of the house with the oven. But we have a nice oven here. It's nice and wide and deep. This is hot and blue blazes. It's cooking at 650 right now. But I keep the heat inside by putting that little barrier over the back. Otherwise, heat would vent out, smoke vents out. And so you can get up to the proper heat without cooking your house into summertime oblivion. And it's just kind of fun. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy out here. You get the results you want. And yeah, it's just a fun way to do it in summer.
Okay. But how would people replicate cooking wonderful pizzas at home?
You got to get
just nothing.
Yeah, you got to get to 550 degrees, which is usually the max for an indoor oven.
Set your oven to the highest temperature
It
possible.
can go 550. Get the steel in there, get it nice and hot.
Let it in there for at least an hour while it's at max temperature to
30
absorb
minutes.
all that heat.
30 minutes will be
Okay.
fine.
All right.
You run up your bill if it's in there for an hour.
Indeed. Yeah.
But don't forget, you can't put it in unless, don't put the pizza down on the steel unless it is thoroughly heated. I agree with Emile there. And you can omit the step where you use the little aluminum grate. You don't need that separation on the indoor.
Parchment paper is essential.
Oh, that's essential.
That is not up for
That's
debate.
not optional.
You need parchment paper when you put the pizza into the oven. It's going to be a sticky, hot, sweaty, brutal mess if you don't do that. So
I agree.
we absolutely recommend and advise that you use a piece of parchment paper. Excuse my.
Pick a pepper.
Is this one ready? Should we get the camera down here for an angle?
You should.
All right, so we're coming back down. Pizza is looking delectable. Coming back, look at this, just absolute beauty. Father's struggling a little bit to get out of the oven. I'm a little concerned, but he pulls through as usual. It comes out. Oh,
Put it back in. I think it's got a minute in there.
Back in.
Sorry about that.
The oven had a little performance anxiety. Sure, it's nothing unusual.
I just want to make sure the cheese is a little browner.
A browning of the cheese is essential, texture-wise and flavor-wise as well. Adds another depth to flavor. You know, if your cheese is all uniformly melted, think about it. You don't get a divided texture among the pizza. If you want every piece to taste the same, you want to have a crust, you just have a layer of bread, sauce, cheese, and toppings. What's wonderful about browning is that every piece has a different taste. Now let's go back to the pizza. It's ready to come out. This is a pizza peel that we've been using for at least 30 years. It doesn't do anything for the pizza other than carry it out, so don't worry. You can replicate this at home with your own pizza peel. Pizza's coming out. He may leave. Now this is curious. You've chosen, ooh. Now that just looks absolutely wonderful. Paper comes out. Some would call that a fire hazard. Are you just letting it cool down? Want me to turn off the oven?
Yeah, you can kill it.
Remember, oven, turn it to the right, off. Here we are. Whoosh. Paper on the ground. Here we got pizza number 1, a wonderful pepperoni. Pizza number 2, a wonderful grilled chicken. Are you transferring this one over to the other?
Yep.
Okay. Beautiful.
There you go.
In we go.
Okay.
Here, I'll grab these guys. Don't worry.
This guy needs to come out. Let this cool down out here.
Beautiful.
There we go. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Time for pizza, guys.
So these are all off. Here we go. This is our dog Ginger.
You dropped it in the bucket there.
Paper in. Recyclable, compostable. Ginger, let's go. Ginger.
Meanwhile, Mom's been making the world's finest salad.
Ginger. It's always the hardest part of my day. You didn't trip, did you? Come on, Ginger. This is our dog. She's an old lady. She's wonderful though. Coming back in, we're gonna garnish the top of the pizzas now. Before we begin, we have a little topping of sauce. Got a nice salad on the table. For most episodes, we will record the meal together to show the breaking of bread, the conversation that occurs. In respect to my mother, we are not going to do that today. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of Eatin with Emile. Dad, do you have any remaining comments for the crowd? Anyone with any lingering questions? Anything you want to share with the world now?
Yeah, be optimistic. Be optimistic. That doesn't mean false optimism, but be optimistic about what you can do, whether it's cooking or cleaning, or what you can do with your clothes. Dial down this anxiety everybody's talking about in this day and age. You have to be on top of your game. You don't have to be on top of somebody else's game. Just be on top of your game. Take responsibility for what you do and learn from every mistake. Those are the treasures that you need to sift and find. Make something of every mistake you make. Learn from it and keep going forward. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you on the next episode of Eatin with Emile.